let me do it. And if it does, cool. If not,
Is that your house, then?
It's my basement. Hold on, I lost you guys. Yeah, it's we have you've seen my house, so we have like
In the outside.
Yeah, so we basically have 1,000 square foot house, and as my children turn into adults or young adults, it's very cramped. So we use every square foot of space. So I'm actually in Heather's office section of the basement, which is partially finished. It's also my studio, but my studio is too messy to actually sit at the desk. So it's kind of like Francis Bacon's. I like to joke around that it's like Francis Bacon's studio, where it's just like piles and piles of shit. And when it gets too full, I move to a new table.
All right. Well, let's start it off. Welcome to Talk About Paint Club. I am former squad leader I am former squad skull leader Rick Strohmeyer, along with our wonderful co-host
Mixed Media Matt Hattress.
And tonight we have a special guest. He is the man, the myth, the machine, Creeping Death Robot Club, also known as.
I'm supposed to talk. Clav. Yeah. My name's Clav.
Clav. So, how are you doing tonight, Clav?
I'm good.
Very good. All right. Okay. So we're gonna we when we have a guest, we do things a little differently. So we didn't just pull you off the street. Tell us a little bit about your painting method, what you like to do most.
Yeah, so I paint toys, lots of them. I started painting them. This is my what year is it? 21. It's my 4th year painting toys. Prior to painting toys, I had a good run of painting scale models, where I basically learned all techniques on hand painting with lacquer paint and weathering with enamels, and I use a lot of oil paints as well. And I don't know, paint a lot. Last year I probably finished almost somewhere between 300 and 350 pieces.
Yeah, that's JPK levels.
And this year,
I talked about you, Rick.
This year, it's not even, it's like early May. I'm definitely well past 150 pieces so far for the year. So, yeah, I paint all the time. Currently, I just texted with Rick before he asked me if I wanted to show anything. I have 2 upcoming shows, and I have about 90 pieces that are in progress, various states of progression. So, yeah, it's crazy. You know, being in quarantine or lockdown or whatever, isolation for the past 14 months has allowed me to get a lot more work done than normal. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to forget the questions as I talk, so
that's all
you guys
right.
just got to bear with me.
Right. Well, I'll ask one question at a time. How's that?
That's perfect.
All right.
What are you drinking?
Well, that's the first question of the night. So, official question of the night.
Well, right now I'm drinking wine. We were at in Connecticut, where I live, close to Nicole, actually.
Where'd you go?
We went to the Gaelic American Club in Fairfield. So my wife is
That's closer to you.
I know, but I'm saying like you're in Connecticut, so close to-
Weirdly enough, I'm in Rochester now, so like,
well, forget it. Then you're not. Yeah, you're not close. So I've been drinking Guinness all afternoon. They have like a really nice outdoor area, and it's like a bar where you can bring your kids to. So,
that's fun.
so then I drank some water, and now I've moved on to wine to end the night and figure that.
Refined night.
Yeah,
I'll
so
take
I-
Heather there.
Nicole, what are you drinking tonight?
It's this very special beverage that especially us three humans, I don't know about you, Clive, but I'm sure too, that the three of us probably thrive and survive on, called coffee.
Very good.
It's a very rare beverage.
Hot commodity.
Clive, you should know, I'm always like, yeah, Rick is always like, I am having some, it's never an IPA, I'm having some blah 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 lager that's made in blah blah blah, and it has this note and that note, and I'm like, I have iced tea, I have water, I'm a boring bitch, and you're here like, I have wine. I'm like, yep, still the boring bitch.
You're a sober cabin. That's okay.
Aww.
So
I'm telling you, one day something's gonna drive me to like be in this episode and be like sloshing down something. I'm gonna have like a martini glass in my hand, being like, "What?"
well, we wouldn't know if it's an Appletini or yellow Gatorade. I've got this rocking on today from Minneapolis, Mexican Honey Imperial Lager. It's great. I like the name of the company because it makes me feel like, Indeed. It makes me feel like I should have a pipe and then sit back and just go, Indeed. Try and solve mysteries with my dog and two buddies who are high. So,
have you been to Two Roads before, Clive?
I haven't, but it's like 15 minutes from my house.
We should go to one of those, like up there, like Brewport or like Two Roads or one of those places up there.
Yep, there's a bunch. I mean, there's a bunch of breweries. Obviously, there's breweries everywhere.
I constantly talk about hanging out with him, and it's
yeah.
no, microbreweries are the best. We got, I mean, like if the microbrewery business ended tomorrow, I think Minneapolis would be a ghost town. Like just throw a rock and you'd hit one, and it's what the hell, get to support your local folks. And then of course in August I'm going to be on the East Coast, and I will have a cooler full of mostly Minnesota beer.
He's going to stop near us.
Yeah. I look forward to breaking a lot of bread with a lot of folks in August. So it should be super cool. There we go.
Just walked in to the screen.
Oh, that's a good looking guy.
Hi, baby, come here.
There you go. So let's see. We got.
I have a cat friend here, but she won't. She will never let me pick her up. She'll just yell.
Yeah, ours is a she's actually, I think next week she turns a year. She's a short-haired Cornish Rex cat. So she's hypoallergenic.
Oh my God.
We searched her out last summer and went and picked her up in Michigan. I did it.
Wow.
We drove there, picked up the cat, and drove back in 20 hours. But yeah, she's like a monkey. She's really thin. She's like the breed is really long and thin. So she almost like a greyhound.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they're extremely sociable. We take her on walks with she loves to go out with our dogs, and and she's not like a cat. It's weird. It's like a dog.
You ever gonna paint a red hot style with the?
I did
color.
I did actually, yeah. And I think November I did a whole run of the cat Godzillas and the boxer cats, and I think I painted 2 of them with her markings. Somewhere on Instagram, there's a photo of it.
That's cool. Let's go look for that. All right.
I only have this of my cat. And that's only one of them because I told the other one she needs to put some time in before she gets tattooed on me. I was like, no, you're too young. You haven't put any legwork in yet, kid.
My first first dog that I actually owned, when she passed the vets, when the vet they made a paw print of her. I thought that was like, after when I came to pick up her remains, I was like, oh, here's this. You have to bake it. I'm like, well, that's super cool. Unexpected, but
You don't think that they
super
would
cool.
just bake it for you instead of being
No,
weirdos?
no,
And it's
no,
like, here's some effort to the gift.
They pressed her. I guess it was Sculpey or something like it. They pressed her paw in Sculpey before they sent her to the crematorium, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. Then when my other Shar-Pei died unexpectedly, like the vet's a different vet didn't offer that, so I was like, oh, that sucks. So when I came back, I ended up getting Casey to make me a fun toy of her, because I was like, I need
Apparently,
something
you can ask them to do that, like at the funeral home before they like
I didn't
cremate
know
them.
that.
Someone told
Look,
me
there was-
they were like, you don't need to tattoo it for now. I was like, first of all, I don't want to wait till she's dead for that. Second of all, fuck you. Like, let me go get some janky tattoo of my cat who wouldn't sit still for the paw print. I mean,
There you
came out just fine.
go. So the next question on the list of big questions is, what have you done lately? So I know. So we'll go with the least amount and work our way to the most.
All right.
Nicole.
Nice. Hold on,
Or I'm just going to assume I assume you've done like
nothing.
the least amount. I'm not going to
No,
say
and
nothing.
it really is the least amount because of everything else I'm doing, like moving.
Oh,
You know, that's a bitch. And I've officially moved every single art supply down to there, which is fine. But then it's like you're still packing, so it kind of sucks. But I've been working on that Aquafall ink series that like I showed you last week. So I did a second one.
there you go.
And then I finished sculpting and priming and painting, and now it's over outside here to varnish my piece for Robin's Nest, Who Runs the World, because it's girls, in case you didn't know.
Right.
It's like the song, you know, Who Runs the World. So that's that. And
Right
I've been
on.
just like kind of vibing up here because like, well, I've only been here like 2 days, so I shouldn't really say vibing up here, but they're having Lilac Fest, and it's they had art in the park this weekend. So I was like just kind of like peeking at different artist booths and stuff like that. And like I was checking out this girl who does like a lot of soldering to her stuff, and I was just like, ooh, since that's like something I've been trying to like figure out. And I got a little piggy necklace from her for my other cat, Piggy. And that was about it. It's kind of just like getting some inspiration, all that, and finishing up stuff for the Pride show, like getting the pins are finished being made, getting that done, having the flyer being finished, and all the good stuff.
When's the work due for that?
Well, you're local, so I could just pick it up from you, like whatever.
But when's the show though?
June 19th.
Okay.
June 19th. Very important.
And I'll be sleeping in Brooklyn the night before, so I can pick it up latest the 17th from you.
No, I'll get it to you. That's
Oh,
good.
okay. Her and I are offering pickup from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Well, and I'm offering it for like the top part of Massachusetts, like Springfield, like area, and that's about it.
That's cool. Yeah. You got a month to go. That's not bad.
Well, and some people don't like, they don't want to ship, and I know it was like 8 weeks ish time frame. So whatever was easiest to offer.
That's fair. That's fair. I've been
When I-
working on this dude, the my Kraken Kickstarter, and the guy wanted a very specific paint job, and I'm like, well, I can do that, but but I've been adding my own flair to it. So he wanted very much like a dark brown fade tentacles, and I just base coated the gray today. He didn't discuss what he wanted for the sucker cups to be, so I'm like, just make them gray and see what happens. And it seems like a bullyish way to go, but I'm like, oh, we'll see. Then I got a Gordo over there for that show, but I'm not sure if I'm able to show it. So I'm like, it's right there.
I feel like you should just install a black light in that room you're in, so then you could turn off like the light, like with a switch. Okay, I know you hate technology, but for the sake of this, you could you could switch it from like regular light to black light and be like.
It would be cool. Actually, the RGB tube I'm running here, I could switch it to black light and then just turn off the lights, and it would do an okay job. I did that. I tried that once for, oh God, was it Invasion? No, it wasn't Invasion Toys. It was the Happy Meal toys. When I was interviewing on Instagram, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Just flooded everything. I was like, I'm in purple. Help. Oh. All right, Mr. Clav, what have you got for us? What you working on?
What am I working on currently?
Sure.
Or what have you been doing?
Well,
Yeah.
last Saturday, Clutter Gallery had custom show of my Sofubi tank club. And of course, I don't have any near me.
That's because they all sold.
The show, it was, I think there were 25 plus 30, maybe 30 artists in it. I don't know. And then I had a handful of pieces, like 14 or 16 pieces in it. And that show sort of came out of nowhere. Like we just sort of threw it together, and it was extremely successful. I think there's only 3 pieces left in the whole show. And
that's exciting.
So it's been that kind of forced me to stop working on the other stuff that I'm working on. I have a show that opens June 26th at Mothership Gallery in Philadelphia, which is associated with Martian Toys. It's their gallery. And
wait, what day again? I'm writing it down.
June 26th.
So week after Pride.
Yeah. So
Cool,
I think I'm at around 40 pieces for that show. And they are almost all painted, like pre-weathered. When I say pre-weathered, I have multiple stages of my painting. So I'd say they're about 65% done, if that makes sense. So that's a ton of stuff. But then meanwhile, I'm also painting stuff for a show in Hong Kong at Vintage Vinyl Club. Mm-hmm. That's we don't have a date for that. They've given me an open schedule. So as soon as I finish, it will be a month after I finish. And there's like somewhere between 50 and 60 pieces for that show.
Jesus.
And all that work, all the blanks have come from Kaiju 1, Planet X, and Mech Noise. So, which are like 3 major, if not the 3, like it's a pretty serious Hong Kong. Sorry, my kids are texting me.
That's all right.
So it's I'm painting Hong Kong platform toys that will be available in Hong Kong. It's the best way to say it. And then I'll throw in some tanks. So that's probably gonna happen. I'm assuming probably in August. I'm not sure,
Oh.
but those are actually. I was almost done with those, and then I realized that I was kind of messing up my time schedule with the show with Mothership, so I needed to stop Hong Kong, work on the local stuff, and get back to that. So, and I've got various other. I'm in a bunch of other shows. I got, I basically don't say no to shows. Kind of how I create, uh, bouncing around and doing customs for shows at galleries helped make my very short career successful. So I kind of can't say no to that. So I'm in between now and June 26th. I think I'm painting stuff for like 4 other shows, but like 1 piece here, 2 pieces there, and hopefully tomorrow I will be finishing the new James Groman Mastodon. I'm very close to finishing it, so hopefully I'll get that thing shot. And
Right on.
I posted a teaser on my Instagram, and yeah, it's a cool toy. Somehow I got the lottery for it. I got the rhino version, not the. There's like a rhino head and a elephant head, and it's on par. It's sort of like a remix of Rotten Rex and King Corpse together as like another.
That's fun.
As another
Rhino heads. I don't know. I kind of like the rhinos lately.
And did it come with it came with a little dude, right?
Yeah, it comes with like a zombie Neanderthal sort of guy, and then there's like a big club, and then like a real metal chain, which is different from the King Corpse that had like the plastic chain.
Right.
So it's a good, same scale as the others. It's big, it's heavy. It's and the vinyls. It's made in Japan by Black Dot. It was I think produced by Black Dot Japan. But it's cool, So hopefully I'll be finishing that up tomorrow. That's the plan. And I was kind of rushing to be the first custom.
I don't blame you.
To hit the market.
Not one damn bit.
So
I swear, Clav is like, okay, I don't know. I like to gas people up a little, and it makes Rick a little uncomfortable. So I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. super fucking human. Super dad, has his regular job, and then he does this shit the entire year to like a beyond regular level. So like, I don't know. I always bow down to you a little bit because I think that's fucking killer. Like how you just kill it in all things.
Got a question about your stuff that's going to Hong Kong. What do you think the average size of your pieces are? Because I've handled a couple of the Planet X Asia stuff, and they make awesome shit that's really huge.
It's the average size of the Hong Kong toys are like 12 inches or bigger.
Okay.
So like the King Nawab, which is like the moth guy, the like moth. There's 3 of those. The cat just ran across the room again.
Nawabs.
Yeah. So
fucking big.
Those are actually. I think those are done. I'm not sure. It's like that. That's the scale of like almost all the pieces, and then like
holy crap.
The suns. I have I think I have like 8 suns from Kaiju 1, which are like ridiculously detailed. They're like the monkey. They're like monkey Chinese soldier sort of guys. There's like massive amounts of detail in them. And those those, I think those are like, I think 12, like right around 12 inches tall. Um, and then the Mech Noise stuff, like all of his, I think I'm doing they haven't actually arrived yet, but like the soldier
Who's this Mech
Mech Noise. The
Noise?
yeah, I painted a few of them. They're
Are
like
they the
all,
guys that have like the almost like the stormtrooper,
yeah,
German stormtrooper on tank wheels? Those are
yeah,
cool.
like that sort of stuff. I think it's a new head, I think. So it's like a American soldier head on that body.
Right.
Ooh, fun.
So yeah, so those are big toys, I mean, it's like when last summer I did a show I had a solo show in Taiwan at Play Toys Forever, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was last August. It's crazy, that was like almost a year ago.
Yeah, doesn't feel like it.
And they sent me, it's weird, it's like the cool thing about having shows in Asia, and actually even my show at Martian, I get blanks provided for me instead of tracking them down. And so like boxes arrive, bits and pieces, 5 toys here, 5 toys there. And then I paint them all. And then all of a sudden I have to mail back 60 toys. And it's, it's like daunting. Like it's like terrifying, because you start to think about like how much it's costing, or like, is it better to put them all in one box
Right.
and take a hit for like, $600, or like,
Is it cheaper to put them in a Foot Locker and fly them there yourself?
partially, I mean,
At some point, maybe.
well, that's how I get my paint from Japan, or that's how I used to get my paint.
You'd go there and get it?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh my god! It's like I hear both of this in general. I hear you both talk sometimes, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Well, there was tale of I don't remember which broadcast told tale of it, of a dude. I'm not going to mention the name, that he he wasn't truthful on his customs as he was flying into a foreign country with all his shit, and somebody happened to open the box and they're like, well, I know what that is, and they sent all his shit back. So he showed up with maybe like 2 in his suitcase, his thumb up his ass and a smile on his face. And it was like, oh. So
yeah, well, the issue is so the paint that I use is Gaia Notes. It's lacquer. It up until recently there were no US suppliers, because it's like super flammable, and now you can get it in the States, but you can only get like 30 colors, and it's like,
oh yeah,
hobby shop style like colors for like painting tanks. It's like 5 greens and 5 grays and 5 blues and yeah, browns. And meanwhile you go to Japan and it's like thousands of colors. There aren't thousands of colors, but there's so many different variations of colors. And and I started going back when I was like before I was doing toys, and I would go hobby shopping with Japanese friends, and just buy piles and piles of paint, and I would painstakingly color out the flammable symbol on the bottles and put them in my luggage. Yeah. So, but, the interesting
I'm just
thing,
picturing you being like this, kind of like.
yeah. Well, I didn't, it's like the equivalent of like flying with a bottle of nail polish.
Right.
You're not
well, if you have a hijacker on that plane, you can take off your sock, put some of those bottles in there, and you have something you have a slapjack right then and there.
But-
It might be worth two swipes, but they'll be worth it, right?
Yeah, my issue now though is that as my production's ramped up, going
You need-
over and buying 100 bottles of paint lasts me only a couple months now, where it used to last like a year or 2 years. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, and then there's the whole thinner aspect too. Lacquer, you need lacquer thinner, and lacquer thinner. If you go to like Home Depot and you get lacquer thinner, it's great for cleaning brushes. It also like fries your brain pretty hard.
Yep.
So I use a Gaia Notes has like a light. I say light in quotes
Right.
thinner. It doesn't smell as bad. And in fact, I've been around it so much I don't smell it anymore, which is probably a really bad sign. But getting that here as well. A few years ago, I actually found a company in Hong Kong that would send it by boat, and it took like 4 months to get to me. So
You have to pre-plan 4 months in advance.
yeah, so it's like you sort of become a hoarder. Like when you can find it, you just buy as much as you can and you hold on to it. So I'm constantly trying to figure out other ways. I may try to jump to acrylics or like Tamiya, which you can get good amount here in the States, but you can mix it with water and you can also mix it with lacquer thinner. So it's
We'll
sort of,
brainstorm in August. How's that?
yeah.
My dad was a hobbyist, tried and true for 50 years before he died. And I happen to have like one of the coolest scale model supply companies 2 blocks from my house. They're so old school, they still have a giant full room slot car racing track in
Oh,
their
sweet.
basement. Yeah.
That's cool.
So those guys are pretty knowledgeable. And if they survived this past year of whatever you want to call it,
Right.
um,
I bet you they got some good old stock kits in there. So maybe I'll take you guys. I mean, my house is, like I said before we went live, my house is small and we've used like every foot of space in it.
Sure.
In a room behind me, which is like my basement area with like furnace and washing machine, there's probably about like 1,000 model kits in there.
That's awesome.
That the street value was very high on them at some point. But part of the work that I do is I take a bunch of model parts and glue them together to make other pieces. And I take things out of boxes. So I'm not sure how many kits are full anymore. And so the value has been, I don't know, the street value of my collection isn't as high anymore, but.
Would you consider what you do kit bashing or conversions?
It's sort of like it's like a kit bash and with some scratch builds.
Okay.
So I've started like hyphenating it, like a scratch bash, sort of the word I've been using.
Okay.
But it in the modeling term, like kit bashing, where you like take two tanks or 2 planes and make them into take parts from either one and put them together. Whereas Rick likes to take a head from one and put it on the body of another.
Oh, heck yeah. Head games, man. I always figured that what would be a cool show would be to like just have everything with different heads, and then like for the opening or whatnot, if you get a scorecard or whatnot, and you go and try and figure out who's got which head, and like whoever has the best answers by the end of the night gets a prize of some sort. I thought that would be super cool. Like you and I trade ideas a lot, and I appreciate that. Yeah, once I get a goofy idea about, well, let's put a head on this thing, and then all of a sudden there's like a mug shot of like the same body but with like 17 different heads, and they all kind of look cool. So absolutely. So like, all right, so let's see. Actually, so I wanted to talk about the you talked about the tank bots without me wanting to scratch the surface. Yeah, so some of your models there that, or not models, your toys there that were not tank bots, those were your classic conversion style, right? Where
Yeah, well, yeah. So what happened is like 2 weeks before the show, maybe a week and a half, like 10 days before the show, I got a text message from Josh, um, the owner, one of the owners of Clutter, asking if I had any larger pieces for the window.
Okay.
So, because the tanks are only 4 inches, and that size was conceived talking with multiple people about like first toy. I paid for it, like it was self-produced, and I went through Japan. So you buy like, you make the master and you send the master over, and then you pay for the mold making, the wax version, and then you pay for the mold, and then when that's done, then you pay for the vinyl pulls. And so I wanted something that had minimal pieces and that was also small, and like the idea that like I could sell the blanks for fairly cheap, and kind of like the goal of like the perfect toy, like also like growing up with Star Wars characters and like 3.5-inch figures, and which are almost 120 scale. I'm not really sure what Star Wars was like.
3/3.
Yeah, but
Yeah. But scale wise.
Yeah, around 120. They were very close to 120.
I think in the documentary they said that they wanted to create their own unique size.
Yeah, they're like there's some wacky. They're a little bit smaller than 120. I think they're like 122. But it so basically the tanks are small. So even though there were 30 pieces in the show, it was like 30 small beer cans basically is essentially the
it's a clean wall though.
Yeah. But I so I kind of went through what I had kicking around, and one of the pieces I had built in 2016 that was it was like a modified Gundam that was based on a couple different Makoto Kobayashi builds.
Okay.
And then I had a tank called the Dollhouse that was a Machine and Krieger resin cast model, and Machine and Krieger is what I started. It was a Japanese sci-fi universe that was designed and created by Ko Yokoyama. He's a good friend of mine. And
that's the one that you put a bear head on the lady, right?
Yeah, so that's the
brilliant.
It's a Mikachu. It's actually Mickey Mouse and Pikachu, which was a character. Which was like a couple years ago. It was like my introduction to like bootleg toys. So I sort of
okay.
Had a Pikachu head and sculpted some Mickey Mouse ears on. Occasionally, like some resin casts are floating around. A couple times they pop up here and there. But yeah, so I repainted that. So I had like a old version of that I'd never finished. So I repainted that, and then I had a vintage Mecha like King Kong vinyl toy from Japan from like 1987. I painted that up, and then I had a couple. There was another like a vinyl tank from Uncle and Ko Yokoyama from 2008, and then I did it's like I don't know what like the Mega Shark Lord. I think it's like I don't know if it's a percentage. Like I don't think they've applied a percentage to those.
One by Momoko?
Yeah, so it's by Momoko and it's produced by Merry Go Round. But it's like 16 inches tall.
Right. That's brilliant.
I banged those out in a week, all 5 of those pieces. Well,
Holy crap.
one was already done. So, I normally I'm pretty good on hitting deadlines for shows. Those I actually had to drive them to the gal, and I would normally mail them, but I actually just drove them. So,
Kind of faster to do that from where you are, right?
yeah, I'm an hour and a half from there. So,
From Beacon.
yeah. So but like UPS ground anywhere in like the tri-state area is like
They're pretty good.
It's next day. So
That's pretty cool.
it's like $11 to mail ship.
Okay, as opposed to like $20 in gas.
Yeah. So
Remember that
Yeah.
time that we decided to have me drive to Philly, Rick?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
And then I got the toll bills like later, and then I added them up. I
Still
texted
cheaper.
him the other day, Clav, and I was like, "Holy shit! I got the last one because Philly took forever to send me theirs." And I was like, I just had to do the math like again in my head because I was like, "Oh, whatever. I paid the other ones already a while ago." And I was like, "Rick, it cost $64 just to drive to fucking Philly and back. What am I doing?" Like,
Yeah.
I have to rethink these fun
Being faster than USPS. Like, so with the Tech Yourself show that Nicole participated in, and I did too. Right before that, I had sent toys out to Martian Toys for their Whiteout show 2.5 weeks in advance, and that should be more than enough time for them to get it, open it up, and make sure it's not damaged. And it was still sitting in Philly's distribution center the day of the show, and it was still sitting in there a week after. And I'm like, this is 4.5 freaking weeks. This is unheard of. And they found out that Philly was pretty much just like they're behind a month. So I'm like, well, for that show, I could either try and get something out 6 weeks early and gamble that they're only a month behind, or I could send it to Nicole and ask Nicole kindly to drop it off when she sends, if she dropped hers off, and she was more than happy to do so. And I'm like, well, all right, this is the cost of an expedient shipping, because it's what it is, like.
I get a cheese stick every time, and every time I fucking go down there and Clab comes down and we run into each other, same thing happens. Why didn't we just come together? And then the next show happens, and then I see Clab, and then he sees me, and we go, why don't we just come together?
So I got a big question. I got the next pressing question for you, which I actually shared this on Paint Club itself, was asking earlier this week, what's your favorite color? I mean, that sounds so elementary, but we always have like colors that just seem like, well, this is the one, this is what I think is the pop, or this is what my go-to color is for coverage, or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So like, what's your go-to, especially with your lacquers? What's your go-to color for your pieces?
So it's a good question. Well, my favorite color in real life, I don't really have an answer for that.
Okay.
It's like sunset color, like where the cloud, like the sky turns like gray, but it's also orange and it's also pink all at the same time. You don't really know what color it is.
That's a color shift, but it's beautiful.
So with weathering, all the weathering that I do, it looks better on lighter colors. So if you want a sure shot way of like making sure like you're gonna get your point across, like the old joke was, when in doubt, paint it white, because you can do the most post painting. I use a lot of like, I think it's like Royal Air Force blue or something. It's like some like almost slate blue color. But I also like baby blues. do a lot of pinks. I use like all like the flesh colors. They're all called flesh, and they're all different color pinks. Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. You know, I joke around with one of my collectors who keeps sending me all these toys I'm supposed to paint for him, and he's got like 10 in queue. And I kind of tell him that like you're better off having me space them out instead of banging out 10 pieces, because if I paint all 10 at the same time, they're going to be the same color.
Same color.
And I don't mean it to happen that way, but that's just, you know, like,
Flow.
yeah. But if I space them out every couple months, you're going to get different color combinations. And I don't really plan things. I just sort of start and end up.
So let me ask you a question and see if this works for you, how you do it. When I start doing like a batch paint job, I will grab like multiples of whatever I have primed, but it will be different platforms. So it's like as long as I have like a color in the pot, the airbrush pot, everything gets hit with it. So
Yeah.
so that, and it's also a way for me to prevent waste, even though like there's no fucking way to prevent waste, you know. But it's like, oh, I have this cool color, everything gets hit with it. But it's like if you didn't put them in every collection, if one person had it, or if you had it all in a show, you'd be like, well, this is Rick's blue period.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's when I first got into painting models, I had an airbrush. I was all excited, and my kids were really young, and I was not. We were struggling with some money issues, and the idea that I was thinning this paint up to paint, and I would waste a bunch of it. And you know, like you have some in the brush, and that's why I started hand painting, because it was less wasteful. And I never went back. But it's true. Like, I don't necessarily mix. Like, so occasionally I'll mix a color. I mean, like I have like hundreds of colors of paint. So like the idea of like doing a custom mix and then having to like have the paint and then apply it to so many different pieces. I have been working on there's a repeating pattern and colors that I've been using a lot. That was on the first colorway for the Master 9 Eyes that was released this January.
Cherry
it's
blossom,
called,
right?
yeah, Cherry Blossom Sakura. And so that was I painted that last summer, and then it was produced in the fall and was released in January. And since then, I've done it on multiple different platforms. The show at Mothership actually is going to get a whole bunch of new pieces with that same color scheme.
Oh, nice.
So it's you know, it's like a blue sky with like some white clouds on the top and some abstract pink falling down, and it's a little heavier on the bottom. And it's kind of also a play on a pattern that Ko Yokoyama uses in a lot of his original Machine and Krieger paint jobs. That's actually stolen from like German Messerschmitt airplanes. So it's it's kind of all over the place.
Right. So what was the inspiration for the nuclear winter of the Master
So that was so the Nuclear Sunset. It was just we did a color swap.
Sunset.
It was the same idea. Jonathan from Smy World, who bought the colorway, came up with an idea of doing a limited edition release, and we just swapped the colors out. And it's again, like my favorite color is sunset color. I don't know what, and especially like if you're driving around like the last decon in 2019, we had a car and we drove like hours every day. And it was like my wife and one of my daughters was with me. And I think we spent like 4 to 5 hours a day driving around LA.
Wow.
And we drove the last day. We flew out. I think we flew out on a red eye after Sunday night. And so we left decon and then
I remember that.
and then the sunset driving to the airport was like crazy. It was like incredible because it was like it seemed like it lasted forever, and like the slow variations of the sun of the sky kept changing, and every time we'd like go over a hill or come around a corner, it would be different. And yeah, so it was just sort of like this, gray. Like I changed the blue to gray and changed the 2 pinks to oranges and.
Well, it's striking. I don't know.
Yeah, the cool thing about that was I got to design the box. And that was actually, I like the box almost better than the toy.
I got to get one of those. I have your tech and one of your Michelin guys from the
All right.
advertise here. Bill, here I want to call monsters of advertising. There you go. It's not villains, it's not heroes, monsters. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that was cool. Doing the box. One of the things that I did last year was I took my painting style and I started painting on panels. So we used one of those paintings as the background of the color of the box.
Cool.
And then I designed a new logo for it, and
because it's vertical now.
We did like a super minimal box, and we got a little pushback because it was a little too minimal, but like in the end, we held our own, and it was like when I finally got one, it was like one of those moments you're like, oh shit, all right, cool, like I did something right.
Your box has your logo wrapped over a corner, right?
Yeah,
that's smart. Creates movement.
Yeah, I have one so far. I think I have like 9 total. It's in my garage, so I have to like run outside and grab it. But, it's on my Instagram, so if anybody really wants to see it, you just got to scroll back. So the limited edition was released a few weeks ago, at the end of April, and there were 75 total, but only 50 were sold through SMI, and 25 are being sold at some point at an event in China. So
I'm out.
I don't know any of the details about the release. I also will eventually have APs for the Sakuras.
Okay.
That's
cool.
That will probably, it looks like we'll probably end up landing at like some of the fall conventions is the best. I'm trying to space out the rest of the year.
Are you going to come out to Anaheim again?
Probably. I'm really trying to get to Thailand in October, but
I really want to go there.
There's
Thailand, are they being super tight about their quarantine?
Yeah, well, as of April 1, even if you're vaccinated, you still have to quarantine 7 days.
Mm-hmm. And like one of those special hotels, right?
Yeah, it's like I just don't want to fly 22 hours and get there and find out that I can't go that I need to go to the show, and so I'm not sure. We're not sure if that's going to happen. If we don't do that, what's brutal is the week after is Taipei Toy Festival,
Excuse me.
So it would be ideal to go from Thailand to Taipei, and then
Yeah.
the 5 points is at the end of October.
Everything's within like 2 weeks of each other because
And
then there's also
and then
New York
DCon.
Comic Con in between.
Right. Yeah,
And
Comic
San
Con.
Diego's after DCon, right?
Yep. And then
That sounds busy.
so it's crazy. So and they're all, I will have stuff at every show, whether or not I make it to. I do want to go out to California again. I don't have a booth. I'll probably be hitting up somebody for some spot if I do make it out there. But it's weird. It's weird. The question is, one, will there be enough if all those shows are happening within 6 weeks of each other worldwide? Are the people who collect this stuff, and are the if each person say brings $1,000 to a show, but because they're so close together, like are they really only going to go? Are they going to blow their wad on one show? Are they going to go multiple shows? And how much money is really in the scene? How many collectors there are? I almost feel like we're collectively as a community, we may be shooting ourselves in the foot as far as
It's kind of that way for the conventions in general. Like I remember when I was still talking to my people who worked at Reed before Reed laid off like everybody and their mother. And they were talking about like doing everything in the fall last year. I was like, how the fuck are you guys gonna all do that? Because like, don't vendors decide ahead of time where their money is gonna go into? And if they're always doing, let's say, San Diego, and they're always doing New York, what if they can't fly back and forth, or what if they can't fly at all? Like, and it's just kind of like how I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword for everyone. It's like for everyone.
So yeah, I don't remember how we even got on this topic, but
right. We're fluid here.
Yeah. So
Rant
Bo
time.
asked if I was going to decon again.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but yeah, no, it's true though. I mean, it's like you as a artist or a producer, you have to figure out where you're gonna go, and then like or do you will there be international buyers in this at 5 points or at decon? Will there be 5 point? Will 5 points be Eastern United States? Will decon be Western United States? Will people be traveling in between? Decon would typically gets a little bit more Asian and Hawaiian buyers, collectors going through there. Are they going to be willing to travel? If I can make it to Thailand, will other people make it to Thailand? When I went to Thailand in May of 2019, which was like the best. We had such a good time.
What was the best thing you ate there?
Well, we went
quick, rapid fire.
Yeah. Well,
he literally said he'll forget the question and you're like, hold on, let me ask you two questions at once.
So I hung
Rick's
out
a foodie.
I hung out with Concrete Haze,
okay.
Carl, and he's from England, like northern England area. I don't really know.
Because he was having the noodle show, right?
Yes, he's the noodle guy, but I don't know.
Okay.
So,
nice dude.
He's awesome. We had such a blast. It was like we immediately met and like instantly like had no problem spending a week together. But
the best.
So we hung out one night with Andy from Toy Chronicle and John Paul Kaiser and Andy's wife and Carl's wife.
Sweet.
And we went to Carl is a he's a bronze artist, and him and his wife do large like outdoor sculpture stuff, and they use the foundries in Bangkok and Thailand. And it's cheaper to have everything done in Thailand and then have it shipped back to the UK. So they knew all these spots, and they've gone to and Andy had gone to the show multiple times, and so we went to a like a street market for dinner, and I think my meal cost like $2,
Wow.
and it was like the best.
No convention says that in America.
And it was like the best tasting food I've ever eaten. I didn't get sick. Beers were like $3. We like, John and Carl ate scorpions on sticks. I did not eat a scorpion on a stick.
Why not?
I was a little freaky. A little freaked out by that.
I don't blame you.
But
Oh, come on. When in Rome or when in Thailand.
Yeah.
I think when Rome works.
I ate fucking snails in France just because I was literally told, well, if you don't, then have you really ate French food? And I was like, all right, fuck you. Give me the snail.
Well, I mean, basically though, I did eat, like meat on a kebab sort of that was like.
No.
Was it meat of questionable origin?
No.
Yeah. Well, it was,
okay.
And it was like, it's like when I say it was like a stall, like, I mean, it was like it was in an alley, like. So,
so wait, if I got a scorpion and then I cooked it for you, would you try it?
No.
When I was young and Nicole not existent, I lived in El Paso, like the rivers dividing Texas.
Dude, how old are you?
Old enough that when I was walking across the border to go into Mexico, you were just a bubble in a champagne glass. So like, yeah, you get Aztec tacos and you don't question where it came from, what was actually in there. You're just like, yeah, all right, cool. It's their tortillas warm and margaritas over there are really fucking cheap, and you're okay.
So
you're young, dumb, and bulletproof. So yeah, I get you.
So yeah, so what was the best? So the best food I ate was definitely like the street food, like as sketchy as it seemed.
So good.
It was like
worth the sketch.
Yeah, it really was. And we were supposed to go back last year.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't happen. So
I was gonna maybe go with you in case they didn't have anybody else to go.
There's a lot of like missed opportunities from last year.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in the Philippines, and then like I remember being at Luke's house, and it was just like he was like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Trust me, everything will be fine. And then I'm like, are you sure I should still come to help you prep for the show that's happening in the Philippines? And he's like, everything's fine. So I get there, and the next day he got like the email that said it wasn't going to happen. And he comes over and he goes, everything's not fine. And I was like, just like, what was the point of me? And then of course I panicked consistently because Los Angeles started to do this like real hard, real fast. And I'm over there like having to go fly back into JFK in the middle of like a shitstorm. And my ass is just thinking, fucking Philippines.
It could have been like CZ stuck in New York and you couldn't make it fucking.
Dude, I felt so bad for him.
Like
so
at least you could have probably rented a car and driven across the fucking country, but
that was I was planning that. I was like, okay, what do I do if the airports break down? Like, everything went in my head. Like, if LA shuts down the airports like they're doing for international, I'm gonna rent a car. It takes us long to go there. Don't go through the southern states because I'm a criminal in that area. Well, when you smoking weed is a felony down in that south tier, so I would drive the north route.
Right. So I know you have limited time tonight.
Yeah.
I got 2 questions for maybe 3, but we'll see which one.
Oh, we can't do rant club. Oh no.
That's all right. What's your favorite platform right now to be painting on? Or if you don't want to pull out your favorite child, what's your favorite 3?
I was about to ask him who's his favorite actual child. Fuck you.
Well, I only have two children, so
I know.
yeah. Favorite platform? Shit. That's a good question. Right now I'm sort of stuck. I'm torn in between like super detailed stuff because it's like brainless because you know, like a James Groman sculpt, you kind of know how you have to paint it because it's, there's
by
bones
numbers.
and flesh and hair. And so it's like you don't have to worry about anything. You just sort of have to.
Right.
And for the most part, I typically paint stuff like that. Correct. Like what I would assume is like correct. Like I'm not like painting a pattern over something. I'm just painting but I've been really enjoying like lack of details because it allows me to put more variations in paint colors and yeah, I don't know, man.
Dude, that's hard,
This-
Rick.
I know. Hard hitting questions here at Paint Club.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Well, you could have
on a
let me
side
know in
note,
advance. You could have.
that's why I like your
Sent me
tank
the-
bot because it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, well, that was the thing about obviously highly influenced by Machine and Krieger model making. They were the forms of those models were always like a combination of like really smooth organic shapes and then bits and pieces of like heavy mechanism and like
Right.
uh,
It's like
engines and things like that. So, ooh, to tell you the truth, I painted so much stuff in the last few months. I'm gonna say I enjoy painting my tanks right now, and that was kind of like
You can say that.
also the point of that making that tank was I knew that if I had to paint 100 of them or 200 of them, I wanted to make sure that I didn't get bored of it. I'm also I'm really enjoying for the Hong Kong show a lot of the Planet X stuff. They got the license from Ultraman, so so I'm getting like I enjoy painting like the classic kaiju and like so I did a couple of them as like kind of OG case studies. Like I looked up like, the colors that they were originally were and kind of did my own version of that. So I mean honestly the answer is like I kind of enjoy whatever I'm painting at the time.
excuse me. Right on.
And I'll give you a third. I'm thinking of a third one right now. I don't know.
So you and I are big Robotech fans.
Yes.
And this is one of the parts where you and I have clicked. You and I have clicked on a bunch of different areas in like art, personal life, etc. And like Robotech just seems like if I were ever to show you share anything that had like a Robotech part, even if it's like an exhaust port, you're gonna be like, well, I like the Macross part. They're like, yes. And it's like it's just I don't know why or what it is, but it's like fucking Robotech rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, and yeah, like, and you can see like whether or not, and some people like have that influence on different things. Like Quick, it's clear Quicks has a Gundam influence, and like the Huck G has like such a huge influence from Robotech. Like you've customized one of the Cyclone, at least one of the Cyclone guys.
Yep.
I always wanted to get a hold of. I didn't realize how scarce they were, the Battle Pod Dunnies, and I had no idea how they were engineered or whatnot. But I was like, I saw that, I'm like, I need to fucking paint one of those. Not for the cost of actually getting hold of one, but yeah, like, those are super fucking rad. You got a minute or two, or do we need to like see it on?
I can go a little longer.
All right, cool.
Clav
Like,
and I have one bond. His wife and I are Raiders fans.
Yep.
That's that. That's my claim to fame with that.
And my kids play hockey at one of the rinks where you used to go as a kid.
Yeah. Where I
So-
actually will be living very, very close to, because I was just telling someone a story about like how it was my stepdad, somebody, how like I would quickly like be able to walk over from like my house through the Dorothy Hamill rink to my alternative school because I was a bad kid. And then my stepdad would be like, yeah, but then how did you get here so fast? And I was like, I crossed the train tracks. And he's like, no wonder your mother used to call me yelling, like, oh, this kid is crossing fucking train tracks. And I'm like, they're in the back. Like, and it was just one quick little swoop, cross the post road, walk up the stairs where like the ice skating rink is, like near the baseball field, just cut through there, boom, there I am at school. And we used to rent out Dorothy Hamill because our alternative school made like deals with the town for certain stuff. We would be able to use their field once a week during the nice months. And then during the cold, when it was open for skating, we would be able to go there and have gym there. So we weren't actually having like bullshit, like, oh, alternative school, what do you do for gym? Like actual physical activity. So I miss it. I want to go there. Hopefully one day when it's open up again, I can like see her actually play.
That's cool.
I want to see her play.
I had this huge ass list of questions that I've been boxing out as we go along. And the last one is, what do you prefer more, smooth or rough toys? Right.
I'm gonna say smooth, actually. One of the if the surface is too rough when I go into weather it, I can fuck something up pretty bad.
Right. Well, by rough I meant like super detailed and stuff.
Oh, all right.
Okay. You've kind of.
Oh, I thought you meant texture.
Well, that's all right. Like,
yeah,
I understand that a texture is gonna fuck up. The way you
so
rust.
right now, coming out of, painting 100 toys in 2 months or whatever, 3 months, I'm gonna say smooth because it's faster. However, sometimes magic happens on an over detailed piece. Like you throw some color on it and you start the weather and all of a sudden you have a finished product. And it's so it depends. I guess it depends on how I'm feeling. You get a little
If
bit.
you had to grab a toy,
time allowed.
right? So what?
I was just saying, if time allowed, like if you had
Oh, okay.
all the time in the world.
Yeah, if you were doing like a toy right now and you're like, I need to paint a toy. Or want to paint one. Don't need to. You have 100 needs right now over there. But if you wanted to paint one over there and you were just to like grab something, would you grab something smooth or something? Would you grab a Groman or would you grab something that's like more blank? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say it. Maybe a Dunny or like a Dunny that has some sculpt in it.
Yeah, that's, I guess, like currently, like today, I worked on like overly detailed stuff and something that was, fairly flat. And actually I was just talking about this with Aaron from Martian Toys about the Tech 63, which obviously everybody's
it's kind of popular.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You've heard of it. And about why that toy is successful, because you have like not necessarily a detailed, but you have a fairly detailed head where you have different pieces and there's panels on the helmet and you have all the different shapes in the face, and there's like, air intakes or whatever Gundam style things. And then you have the body, which is basically smooth. And about how that fits in, and why it's successful, but like a cause. I'm like looking at a cause right now. It, it's like, or like, yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm not answering your question.
That's right. Well, I'll get you to answer it a different way.
All right.
I guess I'll be like my mom and ask you the same question a different way and see how you answer it. All right. What about a Freeney Dunny? Have you ever painted one of those? Where it's like 1/4 skeleton and
I have never painted one, but I have one. Yeah, it's so yeah, I painted a couple years ago. I painted 2 dissected or flayed cause companions, which has
cool.
The smooth side. I actually have one somewhere.
That's all right.
So you got smooth side, and then you got the detailed side. So something like that, it allows you to do, and I think I did, like, I was like looking at, like, my Google searches were like, dissected humans, and I was looking at like muscle colors and.
Oh, dude, I don't want to be a cop who has to look at your fucking, like.
Yeah.
Dissected human bodies.
So there's some
blade skins.
Yeah, there's some nasty shit out there. So
imagine if some shit happened and like went to just look at its Google search and it was just like.
Yeah.
Don't Google search M80 in mouth, and then yeah.
Don't tell people to not do it.
So so I mean, so I haven't done a Freeney piece, but
You've done those.
But I've done those, and
those are rad.
My cat actually
wants a Freeney piece.
She's broken 3 cause pieces.
Like real ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
Which means that they will get painted. So.
Right. All right. Last question of the night. Before we ask you where we can find you, are there toys you shy away from? And not necessarily because you don't like the platform, but because like maybe there's a material you don't like in it.
Yeah. Well, clear Sofubi.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's soft. And clear. Sofubi is soft vinyl. For anybody who doesn't know what the word means, and it the clear casts tend to be a little bit softer, and I use lacquer paint, which is hard, and if the vinyl is too soft, it breaks off and cracks.
Oh, weird.
So clear vinyl, you kind of have to use vinyl paint, and which I have. Specifically, I have like I bought, like, over the years, I've stockpiled some vinyl paint for such situations. But I don't like the way it smells. So, and coming from a guy who smells paint fumes all day.
In all career forms.
Yeah.
So he's okay.
That means a lot.
So I tend to shy away from clear vinyl. And Uh, yeah, I don't mind painting like resin's fine. Yeah, there's no like platform that I'll like shy away from. I don't want to like. I mean, there are some toys. Like occasionally, I'll get I get boxes of toys from people all the time, and occasionally I'll open it up. I'm not. I'm always like, there's certain ones where I'm like, fuck, I gotta paint this, and then you know. But the thing is, those are always the ones I like the best at the end. You know, when you're challenged to do something and you like sort of struggle with it, those are always where you kind of dig deep and come out. Um, uh, so I don't really shy away from stuff, other than clear vinyl. Uh, like it's funny is people who send me toys will be like, "What color do you want?" Like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like I'm painting it, everything gets, and I use brushed on primer too. So my primers, I use like a red oxide primer.
Oh, cool.
And I paint dark to light. So you always start dark and you move light, because of the lacquer thinners activate the lower layers. So you kind of have to plan ahead of what you're doing.
Wow.
So it's almost painting like wet oil paint. If you, even though the paint's dry,
Mm-hmm.
when you put the next layer on, the thinner is so strong it makes the old paint that was dry wet again.
Yeah.
And so you have to like kind of know, it's pretty good learning curve there. And like that was sort of like, if you ever actually look closely on my stuff, you can see brush strokes and you can see a lot of color variation, and that's because the thinner is actually waking up the lower layers.
Wow, that's cool though. That's a cool science thing that I didn't know.
Yeah. So so it's cool. It's like, but if you fuck it up, it turns brown.
Oh.
And if you overwork a surface, a lot of times you can't fix it right away. You have to kind of wait.
It sounds like a toxic watercolor.
Yeah. But because it's lacquer, it dries in like 2 minutes. So, like you can like, so this toy, like this cause, I could basically start painting at the feet, paint up the body, and then by the time that I needed to like paint the head, I could hold it by the feet again. That's how quickly it would dry.
That's cool.
So so there's definite, there's multiple things that I work on where I'll bang them out in like an hour, like a whole toy. So,
Well, I said we had one last question. I have one more, and
Okay.
it's only mainly because of what you said, and then we'll do our outros. How's that?
sounds good.
All right. You have a very unique method of making of painting toys, models, etc. In our designer toy scene, are you the only guy who paints like that?
I don't think so. Drill,
Okay.
sort of paint like, I don't really know how he does his undercolors, but his weathering, I think we may use similar paints. I'm not really sure. I haven't really talked to him about it. He's close. He's pretty close to what I do. Um, his is more like heavily decayed stuff. Like I'm using a good amount of rust, but I'd like to have a little bit more.
Right, but you're the only. Are you like how many other guys would you say use lacquer paints?
Oh,
And
well, the funny thing is, I think more Asian guys use it.
okay.
Like I was looking at Mech Noise, actually, who we were talking about before. He had posted some shots on his Instagram of his studio, and in the background, I recognized a bunch of paint bottles. And it's not necessarily talked about thing like what like what paint people are using. And obviously every country uses different stuff. A good, like the U.S. and Europe, a lot of painters use Vallejo,
Mhm.
which is like an acrylic paint. And that's like almost a standard, like you almost like, you can get it pretty much at any hobby shop. You can get it online. There's a million colors. It airbrushes well, hand paints well.
Oh yes.
I don't use it, but
Oh, I do, and
yeah.
lots of people do.
There you go.
Rick, you don't like to company talk.
I don't. It's true. I don't do product dropping.
Unless you're getting paid for it.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure who uses. I don't know how many other people use lacquers in the States. It's a it's a big Japanese modeling paint, and if you go to Japan and you go to a hobby shop, the majority of the paint is lacquer.
That's cool.
And the way I got into it. Sorry, I'm getting like multiple text messages, and you guys are gonna hear all these sounds all the time.
That's right.
My kids are texting me.
Are they upstairs?
No, everybody in the house is vaccinated, so they're allowed to have a sleepover, and they're not home tonight.
But they still need to bother Dad.
Yeah, it's the first time as they wanted the Disney Plus sign-in.
Well, I hope they enjoy The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Parents' job never ends.
Shit, dude. We were talking lacquer paint, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the first time, before my first trip to Japan, prior to going there, I had only painted with Tamiya. Like I was using Tamiya paint, but as I mentioned earlier, Tamiya you can mix with water, or you can mix it with Tamiya thinner, or you can mix it with Mr. Hobby leveler. And when you mix it with Mr. Hobby leveler, it turns into lacquer paint. And
that's so cool.
And when I went to Japan, we went hobby shopping, and a friend who was a local guy brought me to the paint aisle and stood me in front of it and said, "This is what you want.
That's awesome.
This is what you've been searching for. This is the paint you want to use. This is the thinner you want to use." And so, and that was 7, 8 years. No, shit. What year is it? That was like 9 years ago.
42.
Yeah. So that's how I got into it. And like I said, Motley Miscreations I think uses some Gaia notes, and I think sure, Monster Guy.
Oh sure, Monsters. Yeah.
I don't know how to. I always fuck it up.
I'm from Texas. We say our vowels differently, and nobody hates me for it.
He uses some because we were talking about like the gold colors.
Okay.
And, so I mean, it's far. People do use it. A good amount of people use some sort of vinyl paint too. Like kaiju painting is there's guys who are using like Monster Color, which is like almost like automotive paint.
I think you and I at the same decon were approached by a vinyl paint seller.
Yes.
And I think you and I both had the same question of how does it smell, and he said awful. And it was like, yeah, it's not for me.
I did buy some. I did buy some of that.
Okay.
It's like V colors, like an old school vinyl paint that people who've been around know about it. Yeah, so I mean there are a few of us who paint with toxic stuff. And it's funny, like and different, like the primers smell different, or the surfacers smell different than the paint does. And I don't waste my good thinner to clean my brushes, so I have 2 different squeeze bottles of lacquer thinner. That's one's for like Home Depot, like gotta clean the brush, clean the palette, and then one's like the good stuff.
Paints.
Yep. And yeah, it's just, so I'm not outside of Asia. I'm not sure how many people paint the way I do. But then also I do a heavy amount of oil paint. And I hardly ever show photos of unweathered stuff. Or if I do, it's like I'll put it on a heavy filter on like Instagram story. And I hate showing pieces in progress to clients, especially if they're not weathered, because
Kate's work in progress.
people expect something from me that's dirty and drippy and rusty and streaky, and when I show them something bright and clean, they're like, wait, this is not what you wanted or what I wanted. So
Right.
Yeah.
Can I have a last question? When are you going back to Japan?
As soon as I can.
Cool. When you do that, let me know so I could give you my order for Pigment Tokyo or whatever that place is called.
Yeah. It's literally probably as soon as I know that I can get into the country, we're planning a trip. So
okay, holler.
Yeah.
It's the shipping for that shit is expensive.
Well, it's weird. It's like like Japan has the shipping there has been a little bit weird. But I've been getting my tanks come from Tokyo, and it's been coming Yamato like Express or whatever, which is like UPS over there.
Okay.
And then it gets, once it hits the States, it just turns into UPS.
Oh, that's dope.
But like I know a lot of like the model, like I buy all my models, all my like base kits over there, and I still buy massive amounts of them. And basically as soon as COVID hit, all the shipping, like regular mail, stopped, and so it was extremely expensive to get stuff mailed to you from Japan, and it would take months. It's a little bit better now, but I mailed something to Quicks in the Philippines, UPS, basically from New York to Manila, and it got there in 3 days, and it was like $80.
What? That's not bad at all.
And that was the only option too. There was like one price,
right?
And it got
I ordered.
Fuck it.
In 3 days.
Yeah. That's I sent something to him a while ago. It cost me $60, and it never made it to him because the Philippines postage office wanted to charge him for something more, and pretty much it sat there and then came back to me 6 months later.
Yeah,
I was like, motherfucker. But yeah, I've had a couple pieces. I ordered some Tokyo Jesus stuff when his blanks came out in April of last year when we got the dog, and they came in October. I was like,
yep.
You gotta be shitty. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We lost Nicole.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna do our outro, and then I'll do homework for it. So if you want to stick around for the homework assignment, that's cool. We do that on our dead week. So we broadcast 3 times a week or 3 times a month, and then we go dead so we can recharge our batteries. And I've stolen that format from another facility that I listen to, and it feels pretty good to be able to just have a dead week or 2, depending on the way it falls. And we just happen to have 2 dead weeks this week, so we just throw a homework assignment out for people to share on the group and stuff. So this homework is easy because it's pretty much just like incorporating a rainbow in your design. So I know you're going to be in a show that will probably utilize a rainbow.
Rainbow pants.
Rainbow pants from Nicole over there. So the idea this month, and people shared on the Facebook group, incorporating a rainbow somewhere, because I guarantee like the next 5 things that I have, I'll have a rainbow somewhere on them, just because rainbows are cool. Not necessarily because of Pride Month, but Pride Month's just around the corner. Next time we show, it'll be during Pride Month itself. So yeah, let's incorporate those rainbows and have a good time.
And
So-
it makes do their show work. Yay.
Does. So Clav, thanks for joining us. Where can everybody find you, see you, etc.?
I'm in Connecticut. On Instagram, Clav9, KLAV9. Somebody, when I signed up for Instagram like 10 years ago, and somebody had already snagged my name.
I was about to ask you what happened to Rick.
And so that's why that, and the person doesn't use the account, and I've written them, and so there's a 9 after it, and that's like a play on what?
Have you written Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, because sometimes they'll switch it if you prove to them that it's hindering
Yeah.
business.
Right. I have to prove that it's like I have enough articles written about me. I could definitely play that it's but I guess there's also a radio station in Las Vegas that is KL.
KLAV.
Oh, fuck hell.
So if they haven't done it, I'm sure that and then I think I'm on Facebook. I have a fake name on Facebook. It's Clav Mac, which is short for Machine and Krieger. And that was
Okay.
that started because when Facebook had when they first formed groups, a lot of the model forums migrated to the Facebook groups. And so I made a Facebook account for that specific group. And then people slowly figured out that I had a Facebook, and then it became like a real one. And for some reason, I've gotten through the filters of Facebook that I don't have my real name on there. So
That's amazing.
I'm one of the last people I think to have that purge.
You got a
And
website?
maybe.
Okay.
I don't. I used to have a couple websites. I basically Instagram sort of stole everybody's thunder. It was a pain in the ass to upload stuff to the website, and the website currently, which we didn't talk about, was Moyo Gallery, which I closed this last month. I still
I
have.
wasn't sure if we should talk about that.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother
Another episode.
Yeah, I bit off a little bit more than I could chew on that, and I had a rough winter, and
It was beautiful while it happened.
it was a lot of fun, but I lost a good amount of sleep and a good amount of production because of it. So we're still going to use that web store, moyogallery.com, or I think the moyogallery.com, as some releases, as like a platform for releases. And I don't know if I don't really have a gallery set up anywhere, like a gallery website sort of thing. It's like I said, it's my Instagram feed. It's like 95% toys. Occasionally you'll get like, some hockey posts. Everybody in my family plays hockey. So I play ice hockey like 3 times a week. It's probably why I'm a little tired. I've had 3 games in 3 days. So
There you go. You're a machine.
But it's So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I will be at 5 Points.
At Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween.
Okay.
I will be maybe at Decon 2 weeks after that. It's like the 13th, I think. I may be at Thailand's Toy Expo, which is October 2nd and 3rd.
A lot in 6 weeks.
And who knows? Maybe I'll be in Taiwan. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Also, like Yeah, there's I need to go back, like besides Japan, Taiwan and Hong Kong are also on the immediate travel list along with Thailand. So,
Very cool.
but yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Nicole, where can people find you?
Apparently not in Connecticut. Instagram, the Mad Hattress. Same shit happened. Tried to get Mad Hattress. Bitch never posted anything in her thing. It's been like that for years. I'm like, why can't I have it?
I am Rick Stroh at Instagram, RICSTROH, which is just my original email that I had from college, and keep it simple. So thanks for joining us. I'm sure you and I will chit chat in days. So thanks everybody for watching and checking it out. See you later.